Hello and welcome to another Crusader Kings 3 Dev Diary. Today we're going to be talking about courts, guests and wanderers, which is rather intriguing. Just before I read any further, as I haven't read the Dev Diary yet, just my thoughts on the title. Courts, yeah, that's fine. It's just, the courts in Crusader Kings 2. But guests and wanderers I do think is kind of interesting. When I saw the title, it made me think maybe that you're going to have people visiting you and wandering around from court to court, and you can interact with them. And that was kind of a fairly common thing. People generally tended to wander around a bit more, or some people did, I should say. And merchants and herbalists and that kind of thing. I don't know, maybe. What I'm trying to say is I'm intrigued to see where they go with this. It's an interesting title. And, enough rambling, let's just get the fuck into it. So, courts, guests, and wanderers. Hello, everyone. To most of you, I am a new face. So let me introduce myself. I was the content designer on CK2 for Reaper's Due, Monks and Mystics, and Jade Dragon, where my most important contribution was essentially cat content. Okay, we're gonna have to click this one, aren't we? Cat content. Oh, the pet cat, of course. Fair enough. Okay, then. I also wrote the Spymaster Mittens event chain, and yes, the cat portrait in CK2's Animal Kingdom is based on my real-life fur baby. That is the worst way to refer to your cat. Okay, whatever. Since Jade Dragon, I've been on the excellent CK3 team, and I can't wait for you to see everything we've worked on. Sadly, I don't have any cat news for you today, but I have something that is nearly as exciting: the court, guests, and wanderers. The courts of CK3 are very similar to those in CK2. The court consists of your landless subjects, such as some of your family knights, councillors. However, you will generally have fewer courtiers than in CK2. I'm okay with this, for the similar reason as I'm okay with having fewer great families in Imperator Rome. After a certain point, you forget people's names and you forget to give a shit. So yeah, I'm totally okay with that. Courtiers who don't have any duties or other reasons for staying will eventually decide to leave in pursuit of other opportunities. Fear not, they will let you know before they go. Courtiers leaving might feel like a bad thing, but I promise it's actually part of a really neat new feature. More on that further down. In addition to enabling the neat feature, this also means your remaining courtiers will be more relevant to you than before. No more random strangers at the dinner table. So we can see here we have Emira Edda of the Makrowavid Emirate, Heba Ukwasun, and Masinessa Miknasid. I guess these are the people in the court. There's only 7 in the court, which is... That feels like a very small number. It feels like a very, very small number. That's interesting. Okay. 3 family, 1 relationship, 8 vassals. Okay. Obviously, we are some kind of... Well, we're the Magrawavid's Emirate. Yeah. Your court will still be a bustling place full of new acquaintances. In addition to the courtiers, the core members of your court, you'll also have guests paying you visits. These individuals will interact with your courtiers and appear in events. Guests stay for a few years before they leave. If you want a guest to stick around, you can recruit them. Just remember to give them a reason to stay. Giving them a spot in the council or a shiny title never fails, but seducing them also does the trick, naturally. So you can recruit someone to court to give them, you give them money, gain opinion, and I guess they will stay in your court for a while. Okay. I guess this is Talyat. Fair enough. Okay. Guests look for opportunities and will be more likely to visit if they think you might recruit them. For example, claimants will seek you out if you're strong enough to press their claims, and suitors might appear if you or your adult children are unmarried. The interface will give you a handy overview to easily identify guests with special skills, traits, and claims. You also have some influence over the type of guests you attract. There's an invitation decision you can take to increase the chance of having good knights and claimants visiting. There's a dynasty perk to increase the likelihood of useful guests. Now, this is making me think that, I'm a pretender, or I am the rightful heir to the throne of this place, but my stupid bastard father changed the the succession laws at the last moment, and my younger brother has usurped my throne, my rightful crown. So they go visiting to your court, and they have a strong claim on the kingdom of Shibbly Babbly Waste place thing. That could be very interesting. That could lead to quite a lot of interesting stories. CK2 is all about stories, after all. So yeah, you can see what kind of things they're good at. They're quick, experienced diplomat, has a useful county claim. I like it. This is a very interesting way to go about it. But where do all these guests come from? You see, when a mummy and daddy love each other very much... Oh, you meant where they appear. Where were they before they appear in my court? Well, characters without permanent home wander around on the map and visit courts along the way. This is where characters leaving your court comes in. They will become wanderers. For example, a son or daughter who is too far down the line of succession to inherit might become a wanderer to find a new liege to press their claims. Exactly what I've just said would make for pretty interesting stories. Characters might also find themselves on the road by being banished or losing all of their land. All this means that your guests often have interesting backstories. Many of them have families and relationships, and they keep developing during their journeys. If you check in on a family member who is out wandering, you might find they've married or picked up some new skills or a juicy secret since they left your court. Perhaps they've even become a mercenary captain or the head of a holy order. In the world of CK3, your ruler is the main character, but it's our hope that courtiers, guests, and wanderers will become a great supporting cast. I'm looking forward to hearing about all the little subplots you will discover. That's all for the Dev Diary. Take care and see you in 2020, because yes, there is a large gap between this one and the next Dev Diary, which I believe is on the 14th. I can check that right now. It is indeed on the 14th. So, it's an interesting one. It's a bit lighter on the content, but it's showing something that I think has a lot of potential to really make, like I said, interesting stories. So as I said, CK2 being all about the stories, keeping up with some wandering characters or imagining what might come to pass by, the wanderers coming to your court and basically asking you to fight for their claim. Yeah, I like it. Instead of, going down a list and, oh, this character has claims. What claims does he have? Oh, they're interesting. Let me just invite you to my court, pay you a ton of money to do it. And now I need to give you a title, and now I'll fight for your claim. I hope you'll be able to fight for claims for people in your court, rather than in they're actually, turning them into vassals first. I think that would be quite interesting. As well, if you fight for the claim of somebody who's in your court, it would automatically turn them into vassals instead of being like, setting them free, which would be rather annoying, or maybe there'll be an option to do that. But yeah, I find that quite interesting. I like it. It's good. Let's see what the dev comments down below have to say. So, first off, as I said, the next dev diary will be on January the 14th, which is in January. So, first comment, is there a mechanism for culling excess courtiers globally or slowing their creation as the game runs along? One of the goals with Wanderers is to make to make use of those excess courtiers. They will leave their court and try to go someplace where they're more needed. We generally only generate new characters when there are no wanderers available. Some wanderers are eventually killed off if they find no place to go. Yeah, it's an interesting question there by Blackjack, because it's a delicate balance between having too many, which in a Paradox game, let's be fair, it's probably a pretty big source of lag, and especially if you're going to late game. Or you might run into the opposite problem, which I think Imperator has currently got, where you don't have enough characters, and to take like Imperator's example, you can find, 100 years into the game, it's quite difficult to get your ruler married to somebody who can still bear children. So yeah, it's a delicate balance, and hopefully they have nailed this one. Will married characters and characters with children travel alone, or with their family, or both according to their backstory? Characters tend to travel with their spouse and underage children, unless they're separated by some unfortunate incident. Lovely, so both are possible, that's good. Only 7 courtiers. Either it's a court from a low-ranking noble in a backwater country, or I'm going to feel lonely playing CK3. From the second picture, I take it courtiers are being paid monthly / yearly by their liege now. Courtiers being paid. Is that so? From the second picture. No, he's recruiting him. That's not it. You'll usually have more than 7 courtiers and guests. The fewer courtiers you have, the more guests come to visit. If you want to recruit every guest that comes along, you're free to do so. You can create quite a big court if you want to. The biggest challenge in keeping a really big court is giving everyone a good reason to stay. Recruiting courtiers is a one-time cost. Yeah, that seemed fairly obvious to me. Will wanderers move through adjacent realms or teleport randomly? I'm saying that it would be easier for Central European realms to attract wanderers than the fringe realms of Scandinavia. Could be an interesting aspect of the game. Most of the time, they'll move to an adjacent area. However, in certain situations, they magically teleport across the map. I hope this, most of the time, turns out to be like 99% of the time, because finding a wanderer take like a month to go from England to the middle of India would be real shitty. I think dismiss would just turn him into a wanderer, right? Indeed, dismissing someone turns him into a wanderer. Lovely. Cat news or riot? Only if the cats can join the riot too. The cats are a riot. You know, when they're not sleeping. I hope you do not have to micromanage courtier marriages anymore. Courtiers won't marry without your permission, but wanderers will marry. Some of your guests will visit together with their spouse, and if you recruit one, you get both. Alright, that's interesting. That's good. Also, no more keeping dynasty members at court, such as family, for years, while you use them for marriages and titles as you see fit. Going to be annoying trying to marry your daughter to an eligible title holder, then finds she has left to marry a rival who will then have a claim on you. Close family members will be more hesitant to leave. Daughters in realms with male-only or male preference inheritance laws will stay in your court, as will sons in realms with female-only or female preference inheritance. Unless they are very brave and decisive, because then they might decide to go on an adventure anyway. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, I like that. That's fair. I do wonder if we still have the mechanic of being able to Google search for the perfect people and then easily recruit them if they're free and you don't have a terrible reputation. It's one of the things that really bothers me with CK2 is talented people feel so easy to detect and snipe. You can invite specific people to court, but will be a lot more hesitant to say yes than in CK2. However, you can use hooks, as mentioned by Voffenhunden in a previous dev diary, to convince characters to become your courtier, even if they'd rather stay where they are. Alright? And we'll be able to press courtier's claim and have them be our vassal without having to give them a barony or something first to make them our vassal. It's like you read my mind in the past and said it before I thought it. But yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. I've always felt that was weird and not a purposeful mechanic. Pressing a courtier's claim will make them your vassal if possible. Oh yes, I'm going to give that an agree because that's beautiful. That is just fantastic. It should be straightforward enough, I think, since they're already having a system in place for summarizing what's notable about a character. It'd probably be easy enough to add a notification that includes this information when a guest arrives. There is indeed a notification if an especially interesting guest arrives. Good, I like it. Will wanderers flock to more high-tier titles? I feel like the Byzantine Emperor, for example, ought to have a higher median court size than, say, one of his court-level vassals. Of course, the Count could take could take efforts to get a large court, but by default the Emperor should likely have more wanderers, since the Emperor would likely be perceived as having more to offer, wealth, power to press claims, etc. Yes, this is mostly how it works. Every court has a soft cap, depending on the tier, which includes both courtiers and guests. Wanderers will try to join as guests to fill up the court up to the cap. There's also a minimum number of guests, so every court will have guests, despite it being over the cap. Alright? How long will they stay without a reason after being recruited this way? It might be rebalanced before release, but currently courtiers who can leave will leave after 3 years on average. However, this number can vary a lot. For example, claimants who think you might be able to press their claims will be more patient. Courtiers who really like you or are related to you will also generally stay for a longer time. The pushing claims player in me is really worried at the price tag of 110 just to recruit someone. I know the numbers aren't final, and I also know it was arguably too easy in CK2 to lure claimants over with 15 gold and maybe a favour. The economy isn't balanced yet, so no numbers are final. It might be interesting to know that claimants will be significantly more costly to recruit compared to other guests. I will say that I hope gold is having a bit of inflation going on. So building a building would cost a lot more than 100, 200 gold that it costs in CK2, but at the same time you earn a lot more. I just want to see larger money amounts. Having your army would cost more gold, but you'd also receive more gold from your treasury. I'd like to see that. That would be more interesting to me, I think. So, next up. Oh, I see. Then the 1.2 a year is the opinion of you subtracted from the initial plus 50. Yes, that was also pretty obvious. Anyway, banished characters without titles and characters you're asked to leave your court won't reappear in your court, will they? In other words, will characters that become wanderers be able to remember which courts they're not welcome in? The idea of heresiarchs, and apostates wandering back into my court after I told them they weren't welcome in my court is irritating. If wanderers do remember which courts they aren't welcome in, what happens in the extremely unlikely case that they are rejected by every court in the game? I don't think that's unlikely. I think that's probably going to be impossible. Characters will not revisit the court they were just in. There is a chance they might come back later, but the chance is greatly reduced if the ruler of the court dislikes them, or they dislike the ruler, or if the rulers consider them to be a criminal. Wanderers want a warm welcome after their long journey. If they were rejected by every court in the game, the poor character would wander aimlessly until we found them and killed them. It's a tough life on the road. Another topic that has gone unnoticed till now. What did you do to upset your wife, Hedda, so much? It's probably something to do with one of the pictures. Yeah, she's not a cat person, clearly. I'm disappointed with this change. I'm interested in the historical role-playing side of CK. So this should be good for you then. As opposed to the min-maxing playstyle. And fewer courtiers means fewer stories. No, it means more interesting stories. What's the point in having 100 stories if all of them are really shit? I'd rather one good book than 50 shit short stories. I guess that's that it's been done for performance reasons, it's been done for story reasons, which is a noble aim and something we're all benefiting from. But characters the core gameplay of CK series, so why not make them more fucking important? What else could be so important that it justifies calling it a whole category of characters? Fucking stories and characters being important. Like, shit. Stop. Seek truth from FX. Seek the truth from your post. Yeah, fuck you. Anyway, our hope and intention is not that there will be fewer stories, but more relevant ones. Yes, exactly. The same kind of things will still be able to happen. It will just be more likely to involve characters that are close and meaningful to you and or hold a lot of power in the world. Fair enough. Okay, obligatory question then. Will we be able to play as Wanderers? No. We've already been confirmed that we can't play as landless characters. So, Guests can stay for a few hours without a reason. I know it's for gameplay, but it sounds so damn funny. Wanderers do get weary on the road and long for some relaxation and companionship once in a while. Yes, probably it would be interesting if building things like, brothels would make them more likely to stop by. That would be kind of interesting after all. I assume it would be culturally and religiously appropriate. I mean, it makes sense for, say, a Jewish courtier to show up practically anywhere on the map, but rather less sense for a pious Sunni to seek position at a court of a Catholic. I'm not saying it never happened, of course, but it should be a rare exception rather than the norm. Wanderers will not visit courts if the ruler's faith is hostile to their faith. Doesn't mean, I guess, is he confirming that faiths are more or less hostile with each other depending on the circumstances? Because that kind of implies to me that you can have different faiths but not be hostile. That's something interesting to keep an eye on, I think. But anyway, that is the end of the dev comments and the end of the dev diary. So, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. Oh my god, the duck face. Sorry. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. Do you agree that this is a good change that is going to make for more interesting stories? Or do you agree with the other guy who thinks it's a terrible change and you just want to, shotgun blast characters into your face? Because I don't agree with him, and I agree with me, naturally. So, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please do leave them down in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed and found this Dev Diary video useful and interesting, and I hope to see you again on the 14th of January for the next Crusader Kings 3 Dev Diary video. If you want to keep up to date with everything to do with CK3 or any interesting news, then subscribe, because I'm going to be covering it all, and I hope you enjoy that too. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.